Well, hello, everybody. Look at that. It's a great day, everyone. My son and daughter in law finally got to hold their preemie son yesterday. It's been 2 months since his birth. That is a miracle. Tiffinisms, congratulations to them. That makes me really happy. It also makes me put things into perspective. Like, your life has no meaning to it, Reese. Look at everybody else. Hey, Elena Rainerman. I'm glad to see you, babe. Let's see. Mods are here. Wow. At just full capacity. I love you, mods. Thank you. Hey, Rain. Hey, Jamie Palmer. Kestrel made it. Diana H. Liz R. Island Hippie. Well, what are you doing down there anyway? I hear your little prancy toes. I heard it from afar. Oh, you're awfully small, aren't you? I want everybody to know, hey, Liz, that, hey, Alana, speaking of Alana, hey, Buffy, Joanne Hawley, Lori Helker, Marie Marion, Panda, Donna Cooper, Pepperoni Nips. Speaking of Alana, because she's a nurse, I dosed myself my second prednisone, and I took a half of my hydrocodone last night, which I'm about out now. Those two things combined really work. Speaking of miracles, hey, Kim, Leanne, Robin Miners, Solo Traveler, Armine, Panda 3000, Marie Marion, it's a lot. Angel K, it's a lot. Hey, Wendy R, thank you. Jane Aldrich made it. Welcome in, Baby Lily Pad. Hello, Tina Mays. It's an awful lot going on. Mom hasn't really been around today. I haven't held you much at all because I had to go take your uncles to the vet. Hey, Just Joan. It's better, Rain. I'm on steroids and painkillers, girl. Everything's good. Grandma Sunshine Dragon, I've got words. Anna Banana, hey, Spooky Pook. Wendy R, I'm glad you're here, girl. Oh, it's a lot. It's dainty too. I don't know if you knew, but you're incredibly dainty, and I just wasn't sure if you were aware of it. The rest of us seem to be quite aware of it. My hat is from the Mercantile, Southern Goods Mercantile. This is a new vendor they got in. Hey, Jill Turner, just as I am. You know how I like to support local. This is apparently a girl. Hey, Kim Leaf, she lives in Nashville, and she hand sews. Don't be judging. I washed my hair yesterday, but it's not cooperating. So I was like, put a hat on. Plus, I had to go to the vet today. She hand sews those on. Isn't that cool? And they come in a lot of colors. And she makes bags too. And she hand sews these on. I'm sure those are vintage little horseshoe deals. I really don't know, but I love horseshoes. And I love this color, believe it or not. It's kind of boring, but I like kind of an olive green, grayish color because it goes with a lot. Here's my favorite thing about this hat. I don't know that I would have bought it. My bracelet is not sure if that's beaded. It's hand done by a friend of mine in Ecuador, actually. She makes those for me. I have her custom make them for me. She does an amazing job. What was I saying? Yeah, rain. I don't know what's going on. Well, actually, rain. Speaking of rain, I think it's rain. It's raining here a lot, and that always makes me. I'll see you later. It's getting weird. It always makes my hair crappy. What was I saying? Oh, I don't know that I would have bought this, but here's why I bought it. I'm an addict with ball caps. Thanks, Liz. I love ball caps, but I hate them if they're cheaply made and they like come up to here on you. Do you know what? I have a big head, but also, hey, Kim is blue. Like if they don't come down far enough and they feel like they're half on, it's a weird feeling. This hat may be the best fitting hat. Now look at the back. Like it's really nice. It may be the best fitting hat I've ever owned. Like it comes down to my ears. There's my ears and it just fits nicely. And that was more why I bought it. I also wanted to support the girl because she is a new vendor and she hand makes everything. And I just thought, absolutely, I'll support that. Boy, that was long-winded and unnecessary. Hey, Eric, Aspire to Inspires here. Victoria, love you, girl. Yeah, Angel K, we got to get out there together. She's getting in some new vendors. Hey, Catherine B. For anyone following along, so cute. You're so cute. She's so Twitter pated. New boy is still being a cutie patootie. I can't wait to eventually get a cute selfie with him. Oh my God. Do you guys remember that like new love feeling? That being in love, that's where Catherine B is at. And you should have seen her on the Zoom call. A lot of you did. She talked about him and just their dates, and he's so cute. I love his name, and he's just adorable. I'm really happy for you, Catherine B. I love nothing more than love. Seriously, I have been saying that since I was a Scientologist. I think I did a Facebook post once, like 5 years ago, and I was like, I love love. I love that feeling of being in love. I love, and not just in love with like a mate, like in love with a friendship, in love with, if you're me, Chipotle or like a really good enchilada, a delicious soup. Today at Publix, they were buy one get one free Ben and Jerry's. Like I get those same feelings all the time. My love for the Lord, all those things. It's like the spark I get. Speaking of buy one get one free, those coconut milk things I like are at Publix right now. Buy one get one free. Lisa Kelson, Tim is Blue. I said hi to you, but I'd like to again if you don't mind. Pat Jonas is here. Love you, Kevin Conklin. I do too. Aspire Inspire. It says, I love a good ball cap. Yeah, Wendy R. It's a full one. There's nothing worse than like, thanks, Rain, putting on like a crappy quality hat that only like pulls down to here and you feel like it's going to blow off your head. Hey, Anne. Hey, Rhonda McNeil. Little Bubbles here. I love the hat, love the hair, love you. Alana, I really love you. And I just wanted you to know, since you're following my self-prescribing drug journey, I just wanted to report to somebody that I took another half of a prednisone today, not a half, but the 0.5 milligram. And my neck seems to be back on its spine. I put it back on. Hey, Bohemian Luciferian Witch. Hey, Margie Barr. Anna Pikachu Hunter. I know, Rain, it is. Hey, Rika. Pat Jonas, I think I'm in a lot of pain and it's dislocated, but I can't feel anything because of the drugs I took. Hey, Renee B. Alabama Rose. And honestly, I can see again how people get addicted to stuff. It's like coming from Scientology, I couldn't take an Advil. Taking these like heavy hitters of a prescription, like narcotics and shit, I'm like, dang, I can see why people really are happier in the moment of a hydrocodone. I can see like the prednisone mixed with the hydrocodone. I can see why you view the world in a brighter light, right? Good for you, Buffy. And Alabama Rose, I'm happy to see you. Hey, Cold Truth, welcome in. Ewa, I don't know if I said hi or if that was in my head. Hey, Viggy Cat, Hope Between the Dreams. I love seeing you. Robin Miners. Jane, let's stop pretending that we have haters. We have humans who hate themselves and hate their lives and then project that onto others. Their hate is their own. I don't know where that came from, but that's genius and absolute truth, girl. I don't have haters. I have people who absolutely hate themselves and then, yeah, project that onto others. Rachel Sandy, I don't think it's feeling better. I think it's just falsely feeling better because, again, the cocktail of magic that I took in my kitchen. Hey, Jessamine. I loved it, Jane. That was beautiful. Absolutely a beautiful statement. Thank you. Hey, Colleen G. I'll always be watching your drug use. That's so kind. Glad you're feeling better. Try naproxen. We nurses have always weigh in about medical stuff. I have naproxen, but I can't take it with prednisone. I Googled that and it said that's going to tear up your stomach. So instead, I was like, well, let's roll the dice and take a hydrocodone, right? Like, let's pull out the big dogs. Let's unleash that shit, right? I understand that, Hope Between the Dreams. Yeah, I totally get it. Hey, Abigail. Thank you, Elena. Michelle Lynn, welcome in. Guys, I have the cutest picture. You remember how I told you I had to take my parents' dogs to the vet today? Those guys are large and in charge. So remember, we have the murderer one and then we have the friendly one that's more domesticated. I took some pictures with him in the car because I was like, this is cute and I want to share it with the class. Huge. These guys are just massive, but look at how cute. Isn't that cute? Look at them. They look like they're smiling. They're not. Love you, little bubble. Uh, Good for you. I'm happy to hear that, Hope, between the dreams. And again, I'm sorry for what you're going through, babe. How cute are they? Cute little guys. Now, if you want to see, hey, squirrel girl, if you want to see a comparison, look at their head. Look at his head. Look at the size of his head. It's so much bigger than mine. If your Panky gets cranky again, the doc will give you more. Yeah, they're taller than me. Absolutely. They're huge, massive dogs. Mary Barons, welcome in. Am I having trouble with my heat? What do you mean by that, Wanda? Yeah, they're big dogs. And that was they look like polar bears. And that was really fun, by the way, to pull them into the vet's office at those sizes. They're each about 140 pounds. And I just, sorry, dropped my thing. Look, I can move. It hurts. I mean, I know it hurts. You ever know that feeling when you take a hydrocodone and it masked the pain? Oh, Wanda, it's cold here. Yeah. What breed are they? They're Great Pyrenees, Cold Truth. They're farm dogs. They live outside and they protect their land like crazy. They're murderers. One of them is. He kills everything. I can go that way. Oh, yeah, I can feel it. It hurts. It hurts, but that stuff is strong and it's stronger than a man. That was my zipper. Just want to point that out. So mote it be. Well, how nice. They're sweet little murderers. Hey, Marty, just caught up on replay. Love to hear your progress in life is moving forward and positive for you. You make me laugh. I'm 63 and still learning. What a beautiful thing to say, Marty. Thank you for saying that. Oh, that's crazy, Rain. 63 and still learning. I love people like you who say that. I think we're all going to continue to still learn. No one stops learning unless you're my ex-husband. Hey, Becky, welcome in. What a weird day at the vet, though. I have to be honest, it was weird. So my mom had physical therapy today, guys. She's doing better. She goes, I saw her today and she goes, hi, Reese. Somehow having your hip replaced, like we have to do the whole thing. So she's like, hi, Reese. And I said, look at you. Today she had a cane instead of a walker. And I said, Mom, that shaved off 5 years when you went down to the cane. Now you look 80 instead of 85. Good for you. And she goes, hi, Reese. I don't know. Hope between the dreams. I think I'm having too many Zoom calls and I forget to move. And then I like totally dislocated my 9th vertebrae and I shifted off my rotator cuff. What was I saying? Oh, and she was like, did you want to see my incision? And I was like, no, Mom, you showed me yesterday and I've been trying to forget about it ever since. But thank you so much for asking. And if I have to see it again, I will. But I don't. Yeah, Wendy R. It's the whole thing. It's very dramatic. But Mom, I think, is doing better. It's just a lot of dramatic nonsense that comes with the replacement of the hip. And the doctors didn't tell me to expect that. They didn't say, like, she's going to have a lot of emotional damage and she's going to be incredibly dramatic. Thank you, Hope Between the Dreams. Hey, DS Kitty Diane. Hey, Heather. So she's Kim is blue. My mom has seen the same vet here in Tennessee since I lived in Kansas City. I've heard about this person. I've never met this guy. Okay. Heard about him for the last 15 to 20 years. Never met the guy till today. That's kind of a weird buildup, right? Like I know all about him. And here's the weird thing. My sister saw him when she moved here with her dogs. And she was like, I don't like him at all. No, I saw him once. She's like, I'll never see that guy again. I don't know why Mom still goes to him. He's awful. And so I'm like, oh, what's this going to be like? Hey, no one. And my mom has been telling me forever. She's like, you either like him or you don't. Like people love him or they hate him. He's very dry. He's very to the point, like very matter of fact. He doesn't sugarcoat anything. And I was like, I don't know. I kind of like people like that. But at the same time, I need my doctors to be like soft, warm, bubbly, and full of excitement for my future. Like at the same time, I've fired doctors for being too matter of fact. Remember the Russian when I moved here? And she was like, be careful. She was like, everybody in Tennessee is fat. And I was like, okay, that's a little too matter of fact. And I think that you're saying that to me, but you're just using the word everybody. You know how people do that? Like you try to kind of hone in on what you're talking about, but you have to pretend you're talking about everyone to not make them feel isolated and singled out. I think she was talking about me because she kept saying it. She said it over and over. She was like, everybody fat. I was like, okay, I'm in the room. Like, yeah, I know. I have diabetes. It's the type 2 kind, the chubby kind. Like, I know you don't have to, like, I've had it for years. I don't need you to like point it out on a chart, right? So I don't know how I feel about a matter of fact vet because I love animals. And if you're going to be dicky, like, I don't know how I feel about that. This dude was dicky. Like, whoa, wow. I don't know how I feel. I wish I could have streamed it. I also wish no, I don't. I think that was just enough. But I had to go with my dad, my stepdad, because my mom couldn't take the dogs. So it was me and my stepdad. And as you guys know, like he's got cancer and he's got health issues. And you don't know this, but my stepdad is quiet. He always has been. He doesn't say a lot. He's a very observant man. He's always observing people's body language. He's always watching what people say. Like he makes me uncomfortable still. And I've known him forever. Like he's just, he's a watcher. He doesn't brag. He doesn't talk about his life. He will not speak about him at all. I have to pull it out of him. I'm like, so what about this? Well, keep talking. I'm like, what else? Like hey, Kathy Burkhart. Hey, Tammy. I'm probably the only person that does that to him. Like, I don't, I'm seeing a bunch of people saying, oh my God, Becky, I'm so sorry. What happened? Let me scroll up. Well, let me scroll up. There's Becky. We've had a horrific week. My son's roommate killed himself about a week ago when my son was gone. Holy shit. My husband discovered him Monday, nightmarish and so very, very sad. That is absolutely horrible news, Becky. I am so sorry. She says, not something anybody is prepared for. I feel so bad for his family. A lovable young man. No question. You're never prepared for that. I don't know how many of us have dealt with suicide. I have, and clearly you have, and it's awful. Like you just said, no one's prepared for it. Even reading things like this, no one's prepared for it. And Becky, please, I'm so sorry, and to the family of the child. That's so sad and horrific, and I'm very, very sorry to hear that. You're just never prepared for that, and I'm sorry. It's terrible. I don't remember what I was saying. Okay, well, here, kind of, you just jogged my memory. The best vets are those that care for all animals, cows, horses. They have a heart for animals. So when I got back, my mom goes, how did it go? And I said, you were right. You either love the guy or you hate the guy. The best way to describe him is what Wanda just said. Like I said to my mom, I go, you know how people in hospice have to be a certain way? Like it takes a certain kind of person to work in hospice, even to be a nurse. You have to have a heart for it, right? Like you have to be empathetic and care about people who are sick or even worse, passing away, right? Like going through it in life. I think you have to be that way to be a vet in a lot of ways, but this guy proved me wrong today. And so my dad is super quiet type guy. Even the ride to the vet, like the ride there, we hardly said a word to each other. He just doesn't say much. And I got to be honest. I talked about this yesterday and I'm bringing it up intentionally. We need to work on how to deal with people when they're awful and inappropriate. So we go to this vet, and you have to keep in mind, this guy has known my stepdad and my mother for 15 years because they bring their animals there. And he feels entitled to say, of course, Becky, this dude feels entitled to say whatever he wants to say, clearly. And so we're getting the dogs in, and he's way more interested in talking than he is treating the animals. And so I'm already prepared because my mom's like, he's loud, he's kind of dry. And I'm like, okay. And I can handle all those types of people. That's like a Scientologist. So like that's right. And he says, he's like, "Hey," and he like smacks my dad on the shoulder, which again, my dad's not warm like that. And he's like, "How you been?" He's like, how's the cancer? You getting any better or is it worse?" Or and I was like, what a it was just very like unpolished, very unpolished. And he's like, "You still sick? Or you getting better? Or what's going on with it?" And first of all, it's hard for my stepdad to talk. And so I just talked for him and I was like, "He's doing great." And he goes, "Last time you were here, you couldn't hardly talk because like you were in pain or something." He goes, "Is that still the case?" And he was like, and he can talk. And I was reading his face, my stepdad, and I said, "Yeah, that's still the case. He doesn't talk." I said, "So we're here for the dogs." And he was like, "Who are you, by the way?" Yeah. And oh, I was like, "Oh yeah, I love people like this." Hey, that actually felt good to do that. I'm probably going to pay for it later. This hydrocodone, I wish I could take it every day. Like I wish I could take it every day. Yeah. So that's what he says. He looks at me and he goes, "So who are you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Somebody your own size. Let's do it." I was like, "Let's do this." Hey, Jen Jen. And I said, "I'm their youngest daughter. I moved here from Kansas City." You know what this dude says? "Hey, whine a little bit more. You're not going to believe it because I didn't." He goes, "Oh," he goes, "So you moved here from Kansas City." He goes, "So you're their youngest?" And I said, "That's what I just said. Yeah." And he goes, "So," he goes, "You're the last one to move here to get a hold of their inheritance, huh?" That's what he said. That's what he said. I was like, "Holy dick swinging." I was like, "You're not a jester, are you? How's the cancer?" Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was so insensitive. I mean, there's people like that all over the place. That's what he said. "You're the last one to move here to get a hold of their inheritance." I was like, yeah." I said, "That's," and my dad looked at me and just like made this like shit-eating grin. He was like, and I went and I looked at my dad and I went, "Yep." I said, "That's pretty much it." I said, "You guessed it. That's why I'm here." I was like, "Gotta," I said, "You don't watch my YouTube channel, do you?" Yeah, it was fucking crazy. I was like, "Okay." I was like, "So you're worse than my mom said you are." Yeah. I mean, I take people like that at a, you know, it is. It's crazy. It's so insensitive. It's so rude. It's so horrible. And he goes, "You got a name?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Reese, like the candy." And he went, "Lease?" And I said, "No, Reese, like the candy." I said, "Because I like the candy." And he goes, "Oh." And I said, "That's okay. You're old." And he goes, "Well," he goes, so I just thought, I'm going to go down this path. And I knew it was going to make my dad uncomfortable, but I did it anyway, just to be a bitch. Cause I was like, "You're kind of swinging your dick a little too much. And I feel like we need to kind of like make the space smaller in which for you to swing." And he goes, "I'm not that old." He goes, "I'm 63." And I said, "Oh," I said, "Well, you're a little young then, aren't you?" I said, "I only marry old guys." I said, "My last husband was older than you." That stopped him in his tracks. Oddly enough, it really did. He was checking one of the dogs' thing with the stethoscope. He was checking his heart, and he went, "What?" He goes, "Are you kidding?" And I said, "No, I'm not kidding." I said, "My last husband." He goes, "How many did you have?" And I said, "Three so far, but the last one just turned 68." I said, "I think 68, or he'll be 68." And he looked at my dad, and my dad went, and I was like, "Yeah, you want to be a dick swinger? You want to be a stupid asshole? I'll play along." And he was like, You're not kidding?" And I said, "No, I'm not kidding. I like him extra crispy and 1 foot in the grave, kind of like yourself." I said, "You're not looking as healthy as you could at 63." I said, "I thought you were older." And he goes, "How old are you?" And I said, "I'm 41." He goes, "Is she really?" And my dad went like that. And he goes, "She doesn't look 41. I would have never guessed that." And I said, "Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed you to be 63. I thought maybe at least 73. Fuck off. Fuck off out of here with that. We can do it too. Hey, Jojo. Love you, girl. Go to sleep, Jojo. Yeah, he was pissing me off and getting me fired up. And I was like, my neck's starting to feel better as we speak. I was like, don't do it. I don't like people like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? People who like, it's one of those things, I think people act that way. Like, he didn't give me any shit because I gave it right back to him. But you know what I mean? People who they're all like, I'm gonna be the biggest dick in the room. Like, he just like super brash. Hey, baby steps. And like, hey, DNV. And like, they make their space really big and they're loud and they're obnoxious. And he was, yeah, I just was like, I've had enough. Like, I've had, and especially the way he treated my dad. Look, you can talk to me that way, but like, he didn't deserve that. And he doesn't, my mom, does my mom like him? I know. I'm like, why do we still work with this man? I said to him, I go, he goes, so I did Chris Crafts and Coffee. Yeah, I did. I said, you should have seen the second husband. I said, he was a lot crispier. He was 95. And he went, get out of here. And I said, yeah, I am. Can we get the bill? Um, my mom, what a floating turd that wouldn't flush. My mom doesn't like him. Here's the thing about my mom. She's kind of the same as me, but I would have changed vets. We're similar in like a couple of ways. Hey, Christine Baker, we're similar in a couple of ways. Is he the only vet nearby? No, Wanda, I see a different vet. And I told him that. I go, I have 5 animals. And he goes, oh, I guess I'll be seeing you. And I said, oh, absolutely not. But nice knowing you. I said, I've got somebody else I've established care with, and you'll probably never see me again. My mom likes, she's consistent. Like, she established care with the guy. And so she's just kind of like, well, it's just easier to go to that. Like, yeah, I'm not like that. So I am that way about enchiladas. I'm that way about like, once I establish care with a Mexican restaurant that I like, once I establish care at like the Chipotle that I choose, that's how I am. I'm like, well, it's just the one I go to. Like, that's my Cracker Barrel. I like the pancakes at that one, and they bring it the syrup just a little warmer than the rest of them. So I'm that way about certain things. I'm not that way about dickheads like that. I mean, I say that. I married Jeff. Hypocrisy. Do you know how many people have been like, Reese, you're not consistent. Like, you said this, but then now you're doing this. Welcome to life for the people who feel that way, by the way. That's not lying. That's just people change. And I just want to say, I'm allowed to change my mind at any moment in time. And until you move in with me and pay my bills and drive me to the store, and I don't have to do any of that anymore, the forever is out there yonder, and you just fuck right off into it. That's all you do. That's all you have to do with your life. Hey, old Charlie. Yeah, this guy was a flaming, just a turd that was just on fire. And I was like, you're not, see, I wouldn't have been such an asshole back, but the way that he treated my father, I was like, yeah. So like, now we're going to match each other's energy is what we're going to have to do. And I really wasn't intending to do that, especially like telling him he was old and like he looked old and unhealthy. But I was like, don't say the inheritance thing, one, but two, don't look at my dad and be like, how's your cancer? He was like, you any worse? You any better? And I was like, yeah, no, dude. I don't know if you think because you are a vet, like you can say shit like that. Oh my God. And then he said right before when my dad was paying, this was rude as shit. And it made me so mad. My dad has a goatee. He has forever. Like it's all white, kind of like Johnny Scoville's. Like, he's old. My dad is 77 years old. I mean, that's not old, but that's not super young either. And he's going through cancer. And so he's paying, and he's always had this, as long as I can remember, he's had this goatee, and he hasn't lost it from the chemo. And it's white. The point is, it's white. And he turned around and was done paying. And the vet looks at my dad and he goes, I got a question for you. And I was like, if this guy doesn't shut his, I'm gonna make him famous. Hey, Twyla. He goes, what's with the Colonel Sanders thing? First of all, is it unusual for a man his age to have facial hair? What's with the Colonel Sanders thing? That pissed me off. And it made me really sad. You know what my dad said? He didn't say anything like, well, I've always had it. You know what he said? I hope he embarrassed the guy, but I don't think he did. He goes, well, I have scars everywhere from my surgery. My father had throat cancer. Okay. It's bad. I don't share it a lot. It's really bad. This part makes me want to cry. Hey, Sierra Terry. And he lifted his shirt. And he goes, see all these scars? It's bad. He's got scars everywhere under here. And he goes, I've had a lot of surgeries here. And he goes, so he goes, you're trying to hide it? He goes, because I can still see it. He goes, but that doesn't bother me. I'm a vet. And I was like, this is so beyond like inappropriate. Why would you say what's with the Colonel Sanders? What are you talking about? Like, who doesn't have facial hair? My beard is bushier than Tommy's. Who doesn't, like, who says that? What an embarrassing thing. And I'm kind of surprised my dad's response was that. I'm surprised he didn't just say, I've always had facial hair, or what do you mean? And my dad did say to him, he goes, looks like you haven't seen a razor in a while either. And the guy goes, yeah, he goes, well, I'm just lazy. And he goes, I haven't found a reason to shave. And I said, well, you have a ring on, right? You married? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm married. My wife works here. And I said, that's too bad. You don't have a reason to shave. I said, clearly you guys haven't gone out or celebrated yourselves in a long time if you don't have a reason and you're lazy. I said, I feel sorry for her. And then he started to keep talking and he goes, well, he goes, we do. And my dad went like this. The door was really close to we were paying. And my dad went like this. And he walked off. And I was like, yes, yeah. I was like, good job. And the vet went, oh, he said, oh, okay, bye. And I was like, yeah, okay, bye. Dickhead. That's my Australian way of saying it, by the way. Hey, dickhead. Fed income, dickhead. Yeah. I was like, we're done here. And so I said, we got in the car. And I said, we don't ever need to go back there. Ever. Like, we don't ever need to go back there ever again. And he said, well, he goes, that was $500. And I said, for what? For shots for their yearly exams? And he said, yeah. And I said, we don't need to go back there. We're going to go to a different vet from now on. And he goes, I wish we could. And I said, oh, well, we can and we will. And he goes, talk to your mom about it. He goes, she just keeps going back here every year. And he goes, I wish we wouldn't. And I said, we're not, because I live here now and we're not going back there. I was like, that guy was a absolute asshole. And this is an example of boundaries and like what not to do. That guy made me uncomfortable in 30 minutes. You've been coming here for years. That ain't happening anymore. And he goes, well, if you can make that happen, that'd be great. So we walked in the house. Yeah, what's with your toxic personality, dude? And we walked in the house and my mom was like, how'd it go? Because I just had surgery and I can't talk. And I said, how did it go? We're never going back there, Mom. Hey, Kay Thompson. And she was like, why? I told you that he's dry. She goes, I told you he was dry. I said, oh, he's more than dry, Diane. I was like, that dude needs to be wrung out and put 6 feet under. I was like, he's done. Put a fork in it. That guy needs to retire and never speak to people again. He's awful. He's absolutely awful. He's bad news. Thank you, Baby Steps. Look, guys, the reason I'm telling you this story, and thank you for your super chat. The reason I'm telling you this story is we're done. We're done here. We don't need to put up with toxic, hating assholes anymore. We're done with it. Nobody's going to dethrone us. Nobody's going to knock us off our hinges. Nobody's going to be an asshole. My dad, I was really proud of him. He just went like this. He doesn't, hey, Laura Lou, you know, I would say the biggest lesson that he has taught me, he is the last thing a dick swinger will ever be. And he has every reason to be a dick swinger, by the way. Like, he put himself through college. He got his master's in business. He's a cattle rancher across the entire United States. I'm not even going to say it, but like he is so impressive to me. Hey, honey, Lou, he has a beautiful family. Like, he's a great example of a man. He's never raised his voice that I've ever seen. He drives old, shitty cars. He didn't care about that. He's not flashy. He's a farmer. You wouldn't know anything about him. You wouldn't know if he had money. You wouldn't know if he didn't have money. You wouldn't know anything about the guy. He doesn't share his life. He's quiet and he keeps everything close to the chest. And he's around a lot of dick swingers. He's an investor in a lot of different businesses, companies. He owns a lot of businesses. Hey, Rocks in a Box. He's never talked about it. He doesn't have to show it. He's told me before, money talks, wealth whispers, right? You don't have to be loud about it. He doesn't drive his assets. He hates people who dick swing around him. He's told me that. He's like, I hate being around people who talk about, how much they're making this year and all that and how much they got. And he's like, I don't like it. He just keeps it to himself. He doesn't have to dick swing. Hey, Timark, happy birthday the other day, by the way. Yeah, Melissa, he's just a great example. Hey, Kaza. So I wasn't surprised. Like, he doesn't react. He doesn't give a shit. Hey, he's kind and humble. Yes, brown spotted eagle. He doesn't have to show his cards. He never has. He never has. He's never been that way. Did he like Jeff? Never liked Jeff. He said that. He did. He hated Jeff. He said that when I got divorced. He goes, I never liked that guy. He was like, but I never said anything because you seem to like him. Like, that's how he is. He's keeps his cool. And he said, he goes, it was such a red flag to me. He said this. He goes, it was such a red flag to me that I had to pay for that wedding. He was like, this man was in his 60s. What the hell was I doing paying for that? He goes, that was the first red flag that I saw. He goes, this guy was broke and he couldn't control money. He couldn't handle his money. And he goes, I hated that you married that. He's like, I don't like my daughters marrying people that can't be supportive, that don't make the money. It was crazy. Yeah. He was like, I never liked that guy. My mom said that first. She goes, he never liked Jeff. I said, you didn't? He was like, no. In all fairness, he doesn't really have a lot of friends. He keeps everything close to the chest, even with his family. Like, I have to pull shit out of him. He was too busy being in naked houses. Hey, Susanna. He's an amazing man. Like, I have been taught so many lessons from him, and he's very classy. He's just quiet. He's always calm. Dude never reacts. And it's because, you know why? I've always seen this in him. He's sure of himself. He's absolutely sure of the decisions he makes. Now, he's always said certain things to me I never understood. Like, as far as financial stuff, I'll be like, is this a bad idea? Should I do this? Should you do this? He's always like, run the numbers. You got to run the numbers. I'm like, I grew up in Scientology. I thought Philadelphia was a state. So, I can't run any numbers, but thanks for the advice. Hey, Lean. He wanted you to know he supported and respected you. Absolutely. Yeah. And he wasn't going to say anything. I'm a grown ass woman on my third marriage. He was like, you want to make mistakes? Roll the dice, girl. Roll those dice. My point is, that was so him today. Like, he didn't even have time to say anything. He was just like, get out of here, dude. Bugger off. Piss off. They just know you enough, Reese, to know that you come to accept things in your own time. They know they can't push you into doing things. My mom doesn't know that, but he does, Abigail, for sure. Jeff was way too busy being in naked houses. Yeah. Too many naked streets and cul-de-sacs. Too many naked parties. You know, when you're addicted to naked parties, that's all you see. And that's never good. Jojo's not feeling good. Jojo, we love you, and I'm so sorry. It makes me sad for you, babe. We'll get all cuddly snuggly onto a heating pad that's not going to set on fire like mine. Yeah, Timark, absolutely. Yeah, he didn't like Jeff, but he doesn't like a lot of people. Honestly, yeah, but those two, Buffy. He's not a warm, fuzzy, friendly, chatty man at all. He's quiet. And again, I have to be like, tell me more. Naked subdivisions, honey Lou. I have said, I've gotten him to open up with me about things. And then I'll take it to my mom and be like, did you know this, and this? I'm like, that's crazy. And my mom will go, oh, I didn't know that. He's never told me that. I'm like, that's because you got to pull it out of him, Diane. Like, we have to know these things. I need to know more stuff about him. He'll talk. He just doesn't offer anything up, ever. Nothing. Yeah, I get that, Wanda. How did he react when he found out about the Jester stuff? If your mom and dad no, they knew pretty early on. I told them. When did I tell them? I don't know that I ever told him. I told my mom. I didn't tell him right away. Melissa! I I hope he grows his bangs back. He probably did. Ooh, I didn't know things could get worse. Um, that's the worst wish you could wish on him. Uh, I should have told the vet to come get them. I should have. I don't know when I told my mom. It was sometime after, but not too far after the Jester stuff. Hey, Don Clark. And my mom was not even really surprised. Honestly, when I told her, she was like, I'm not surprised. Like, he's a creeper. That doesn't surprise me at all. He's fucking weird. And I was like, how come nobody told me? And she was like, he's weird. Men are weird. Like, take it from me. My mom's been through a few of them herself, right? Um, oh, no problem, honey. Lou, I'm sorry that happened to you. Love you, Mary Barons. Yeah, get some rest, babe. Just get some rest. Best thing for you. We love you, Mary Barons. Thank you again for sharing. He does, Wendy R. Absolutely. He's a creeper. The point to this story is, guys, there's some things that we need to discuss, and it's just simply that. I'm a little tired of what am I tired of? How do we want to word this? Hey, Amy Edge, the audacity of human beings. But more importantly, I'm just kind of like, do we have to take it? Remember when I said yesterday, when you run into someone you haven't seen in a long time, and maybe you didn't like them at the time when you used to know them, like if they're passive aggressive, a lot of those in the world, and they're like, we should get together. Like, we should do something. We should exchange numbers. I'm kind of tired of just like going along with stuff. Now, I don't want to piss people off either. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want to be like, no, I never liked you. Get away from me. Um, I don't mean it like that, but I kind of feel like it's okay to go your own way at this point. We don't need to be somebody we're not. And what I mean by that, I think we're all conditioned um as a society. I don't know if this, I want to say, is an American society. I don't know how this goes in the rest of the world. I was talking to someone about this the other day. I want to say more women than men, but even men, we're all kind of conditioned from a young age, I feel like, to like be appropriate, and like don't ruffle feathers, don't say that, you need to be more. And I'm not saying be inappropriate. Like, don't flip out in public. And I'm not even saying what I did today with that was appropriate. But what would have been appropriate? When you have somebody who's that obnoxious and rude, that was incredibly rude to be like, you still got your cancer? Is it better? Is it worse? Like, that guy at 63 and he's married, like, knew better. He was just being an asshole. It's okay to go against the grain. Exactly, Wendy R. Um, yeah, Jill Turner says a good question for that asshole is, do you enjoy being that rude? Well, that's a good way to do it. Actually, you're kind of, Jill, in agreement with what I was about to say. When people are that rude, I think it's totally okay to match their energy and kind of give it back to them. I don't think that's the best way to do it. What I did today, if I could redo it, I think I was so shocked in that moment. I don't know why. My mom, hey, Lacey, my mom said that he's brash, right? But I think even better, Jill Turner, to me, but you're on to something there, is just putting it back on him with a question. Like, I think embarrassing them with their own bad behavior isn't something to overlook. Like simply saying, what does that mean exactly? What do you mean by that? Wendy says, I thought you were restrained. Robin. Okay, Robin says, congratulations for not freezing. This is such a good point. This is such a good point. I want to say something. Thank you, first of all, Robin, for validating that. Hey, Jessica LaBarbara, I was thinking about you the other day. I don't freeze when it's not up to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? I freeze if someone is directly being aggressive with me. This guy was being aggressive in just in the whole vicinity, like with his staff member there. Yeah, I can stand up for somebody else, no problem. I can't stand up for me. So the fact that he was doing that to my dad, I was like, Oh, hell, not today. So yes, I will protect. I don't have a problem doing that. If it's being geared at somebody else, I have no problem being like, "What did you just say?" I did not realize that until just now in that moment, but it's the facts. So if that guy would have been that way to me, yeah, I freeze. And I think that comes from the bull bait stuff. So remember my therapist and I talked about that? It's a learned, yes, Yadira, exactly is right. It's a learned freeze response. So we're trained and then rewarded for freezing, for ignoring our boundaries, for ignoring our red flags. I'm going to take a drink of water. I haven't had any water today. I've been gone all day. I had coffee. Hmm. I put lemon in it. It's pretty good. Yeah, old Charlie says, I don't like seeing other people hurt. My energy changes. Absolutely it does. Yeah, hope between the dreams. Uh that's interesting. I know, Lisa. I actually did bring the water with me. That's why there's no ice in this. I made this morning. I just haven't opened it till just now. You're a protector at nature because nobody protected you. I am very protective. Hey, Christy Lynn Wilson. That's okay. Love you, babe. Exactly. Wanda says, yeah, I think a lot of us have that issue. It's not a Scientology thing. I think a lot of it, tons of women, I think have issues with, I don't know, confrontation, standing up for themselves, people pleasing, all of that. We all share in that, right? For the most part. But like I had a friend who said something really, really awful to me. And hey, Kavik, and I said nothing. I said nothing. Like absolutely nothing. And I can't believe I did that still, but I freeze if it's directed at me. I don't freeze. When I saw that guy going in for my stepdad, I was like, absolutely not. Because he just isn't gonna bite. He's non-reactive. I'm non-reactive when it comes to me, but for whatever reason, like somebody I really care about, nah, that ain't gonna fly. Hope, oh my God, a year. I love you and miss you all. I really, really am glad that you're back. And thank you for being a member, Hope. We love you, girl. Yeah, Jamie Palmer says, I'll be the first to protect anyone who's being hurt, but I tolerate it to my detriment. Better when it's directed at me. Yes. Aw, thanks, Jessica LaBarber. I really was thinking of you. I was like, I haven't seen her for a little bit. I'm glad to see you, babe. And thank you for being a member. Love you, girl. Uh, I wonder why that is. I mean, I don't wonder for me. I'm talking about for all of us. I wonder why that is. That is actually cruel. And yes, you called out his unnecessary behavior in a way that caught him off guard. He will think about it for sure. I cannot believe, I cannot believe that dude said that about inheritance. That's one of the most inappropriate, bizarre. Uh, it was so strange. It was so strange. He goes, so you moved here from Kansas City, huh? And I said, yeah. And he goes, so you're the last kid to move here that's coming after their inheritance? And I was like, I can't, like, you ever hear something like someone say something that's so like incredibly inappropriate? You're almost like, I was like, yeah. I looked at my dad and he was like I got the look of like, this is what we're dealing with. Like, this is, and he just doesn't fight people like that. He doesn't care. The dude is like, he's like a lion. He's so confident in himself. He's so cool with himself. Like he would, I mean, he would probably come unglued if he needed to, but the dude is super chill. My stepdad is super, super chill. He doesn't need, he's always worked for himself. He's always made his own money. He's always done his own thing. He doesn't need to prove himself to anybody. He's never had to. Baby steps. The mama bear always came out in regards to my daughter. No such, not so much for myself. Getting better though. Glad you stood up to your dad. So baby steps has this issue too. See, I'm shocked. Like someone like you, I always really like feel like you're so have it together and healed. And I appreciate you saying that. Like it makes me feel even closer to you. Thank you for saying that and your super chat. I think it's a beautiful thing that we all can agree on that. I think a lot of us have that issue. Just we don't we don't protect ourselves. Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Trixie, I'm still catching up. I'm proud of you how you handled that vet race. I want to slap the crap out of him for how he spoke to your dad. Awful. It was terrible. My dad probably doesn't even remember it. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. He's all about business, and he's just doesn't really carry on with anything other than his family as far as relationships, and he's just pretty damn solid. And he's taking care of his cancer. I mean, that's kind of his focus these days. He doesn't give a shit about drama. He never has. He doesn't get involved in anything, and I really admire that. I admire that. Thank you for your super chat. And I'll tell you what else I admire lately since I've lived here. First of all, I'm really grateful for the time I've had living here because I get to sit down with him whenever I want to and talk to him. And I never got to do that before. And I don't want to get morbid here. I don't know that he'll be here in 5 years. I don't know. I just don't know. I know that his cancer is terminal. He's stage 4. He's just trying to keep it from spreading. So I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But I will say this. Hey, Holly, I will always be grateful for the time that I lived here and got to spend. I always thought when I lived in Kansas City, that was like a hang up for me. It was a loose end for me. I was like, hey, always late. Better. I'm on some different prescribed medications that I prescribe for myself. I always thought in my mind, that's one thing I will regret is if he passes away and I live here in Kansas City and I didn't get to spend more time with him. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel whole about it. Like I've spent a lot of time with him. And I'll tell you something really cool. And this is just kind of private, but I won't go into detail. I think of all 4 of us kids, I've always been the one. I make him laugh for sure. I don't think anybody else makes him laugh. It's hard to make him laugh. And I love it when I say something and he goes, he's not loud. He doesn't laugh loud. He's just a very reserved man. So to get a chuckle out of him, I always am like, I like that. That's a win, right? And I think he's always taken me the least seriously of all 4 kids. Why? I don't know. Gee, let's take a look at my string of bad decisions. I've been married 3 times. I've jacked around a lot with my life. I'm the worst one with money. I'm probably the biggest disappointment in the family for sure. Like everybody else has been stable. He's from Tennessee. Yeah. He calls me Rice. Got that thick accent. Every other child in the family has they're like smart with money and like they invest and they have like rental properties and shit and they're stable and like they're all on their first marriages and that old chestnut. And then you have me who's just like that crazy kooky streamer Reese, who marries 110-year-olds and jacks around and lives, by pennies, living on pennies. I think he's always been like, that's our special one. That's the special one. That's the youngest one that's always having problems coming to us being like, hey, I'm broke. Yeah, that one. So I think he's always kind of viewed me that way. Like, yeah, we knew you were going to be coming here. We knew it at some point that the cheese stands alone. Yeah. So what's cool though, I'll tell you that Stacey Toms, by the way, hey, Stacey, I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been trying to grow up a little bit. Maybe not financially. Sure, I don't have my shit together yet. I may not have investment properties and all of that, but I'm still the youngest one, and maybe I'll get there someday. I'm the only one who spent over 30 years in Scientology. Yeah, I feel like that's my excuse. He comes to me now. I think he's noticed. He said it. He's like, you're really progressing. Like you've learned a thing or two. You seem better. Like you look like a normal person these days. Like you don't look like you're having like mental snaps. I was like, thanks. Fresh air will do that. And he will come to me now and ask me my viewpoint on stuff, like real stuff. He'll give me a situation and he'll be like, I want to know your thoughts on that, Reese. And I'm like, who? I'm like, who are you talking to? You don't want to know my thoughts. He's like, no, I do. I want to know what your point of view is. He's like, what would you do? And I'm like, well, and then I probably give him like the most disappointing answer. And he's like, okay, you're not quite there yet, but I thought I'd ask. Hey, Barbara, wait, I think he's testing me. He'll give me like hypothetical scenarios and he'll be like, "What would you do in a situation like that?" He's always kind of challenging me. He's like, "What would you do if this happened?" And then he said to me the other day, he goes, "Reese, when you have a minute," he was like, "we need to talk." And I was like, "Oh God, what does that mean?" Thanks, Crafty Carrie. I love this thing. I just said it to myself with no one in the house earlier. I was like, if this comes in more colors, I want it. I want it in more colors. Um, he said to me the other day, he goes, "We need to talk." And I was like, "Oh my God, like what about?" He never says that to me. I was like, "Yikes, what happened?" I was like, "Did Bo poop on the lawn and I didn't pick it up or something?" And he goes, "We need to talk about your retirement." And I was like, I don't, I was just going to marry like another guy. What do you mean? He was like, "Well, we need to talk about your plan." I was like, "Oh, I don't have one of those. I don't need one of those." I was like, "I don't know what you mean." I said, I stream." And he was like, "Right, but like," he's like, "Are you saving up money? Are you putting things away?" He was like, "How does that work?" And I was like, "I have no idea." "Your guess is as good as mine, Dad." I was like, "Nobody knows. Roll the dice and let it fly." I was like, I'm not like your other three children. One of them went to Princeton, guys. Like he's the real kind, not like what Bo went to. I'm like, I'm just gonna shack up with one of them. I don't fucking know. I was like, I don't you have any friends that are my age or your age that I could get with? Kidding. But I was like, I'm gonna move to another country where everything costs $1. And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's one way to live your life." I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna move out of the country. So that's my retirement plan. That's what everybody else does." And he was like, "Got it. Okay." He was like, "So clearly you still are still the disappointment in the family." Um, do you think he's preparing you for when he's gone? No, I think he's just challenging me to see if I've grown up at all, and he's strongly disappointed in me. Yeah, that was it though. He was like, "Do you have some kind of a plan?" He's all about that. He's like, "You need to have a retirement plan. You need to know what you're doing. You need to have Huxley's college picked out." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, dude, we don't. We're going to be living on the streets here pretty soon. What are you talking about?" Uh, yeah, he's just making sure that I have my shit together. And he found out real quick that I didn't. I was like, "But plan? Nobody has a plan." I was like, "No, not like like a real plan?" I was like, "Oh no, dude, I'm just going south of the border. I'm gonna go live in Mexico." He was like, "All right, I'm gonna go live with Yadira in another country." Stacy Toms, how did he and your mom meet? Cute story. Probably. Jan says, "I don't think it's disappointment. I think it's worry." Yeah, no, I definitely think he's worried. Yeah, I think he's probably worried. I think everybody should be worried. I think at 41, you probably should have something solid on your on the horizon of like, you know, I should know what I'm doing. And I'm just like, oh, I was just gonna find another guy to latch onto, hook my wagon to. I still got it. I still look young. That vet today was like, "You're 41." I would have never guessed that. I was like, "That's good. That was a test. I'm actually 30." Um, Karen Johnston, thank you. Says, "You are beautiful. Yes, I'm mostly a lurker and happy for you and Tommy." That is really sweet. Thank you, Karen Johnson. What a baby angel. Karen Johnston is everything but the wings, and everyone needs to know that. And Jessamine doesn't have a plan either. Uh, I'm planning on figuring it out when I get there. I was like, hostage or not, sometimes it's just nice to be held. Get it right. Um, how did they meet? Cute story, Stacy Toms. Um, my mom worked for eye doctors, just like I did, but she was an optometrist. She was in, oh my God, optician. Excuse me. My mom was an optician. So she fit glasses, she adjusted them, she put the lenses in, she cut the lenses, all that stuff. He had been divorced for a couple of years and he lived in Kansas City and he flew back and forth to Tennessee. He did a day job during the week. He had his corporate job and then he also had cattle ranch here. He flew all over the place. I think so, Time Mark. Yeah, I think that's the tipping point for us. And he came in for eye exams, I guess, like, for 2 or 3 years. Renee B, of course you do. Hey, Audra in Denver, I'm gonna move in with Renee B. That's what I'm gonna do. Or Liz Trick, somebody. Probably Yorkie mom. Stacey Toms. Okay, so he came in for like 2 or 3 years, and he would get his glasses from the doctor and then get them from my mom. And I guess, like, the 3rd year, this is the cutest thing in the world. The 3rd year, he finally asked the optometrist, the doctor, about my mom. And he was like, "What's the story with this Diane lady? Like, I've kinda had a crush on her for a couple of years now, but I've never asked her out. I travel a lot." And the guy was like, Diane? She's single, but, she gets around, right?" And he was like, "Well, so she's not married?" And he was like, "Not yet, fella." So he asked my mom on a date, and it was adorable. And they started dating, and this is the cutest thing you'll ever hear in your life. They never quit dating. Obviously, they're married, right? But when they started dating, he sent her flowers every week, like the whole rest of the time she worked there. She worked there like another 2 years, I think, before she quit, and he every week, like, she would get these, like, giant thing of flowers, and he would send them, and, it was so cute, and it was so sweet. And then, like I told you guys, so I met him. I met him, and he was so nice to me, and he had always wanted daughters. He had sons, and he had always wanted daughters, and, that's right, Melissa. And he was so romantic, and he, like, took my mom on getaway weekend trips, and he knew that I was working 2 jobs when I met him, and I had my own apartment. This was, like, right when I quit doing drugs, and I was all proud of myself, and I had my own apartment is when I met him. I was 19. And he was like, "So what do you do?" Like, he took me to lunch, just me and him. I got to meet him and get to know him, and he was so nice, Renee B. And I said, I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to support myself." And my mom had a German Shepherd. My mom had her own apartment, and she had a German Shepherd named Frisco, and he was so cool and sweet, but he was crazy and wild. And my mom, he wanted to take her out of town on weekends. He wanted to take her, like, here to the farm. He wanted her to travel with him, but she couldn't leave because of the dog. And at the time, he was like, "What if I pay you to go stay at her apartment with the dog so that I can take her?" He was like, "Win-win for everybody." And I was like, "Yeah." And he paid me $100 a day, which was 2 days. They'd be gone Saturday and Sunday. So, like, he was paying me to do that on weekends. And I was like, "Damn, dude, I could use the extra money." Absolutely. I have a smoking habit. Like, it was hardcore. What's the Nazareth thing? Abigail, Nazareth is that band where the lead singer sings that song. Uh, Love hurts. Blee, blee. I don't know the rest. Diddly. Blee, blee. And then he's like, "I really learned a lot. Blee, 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 blee." That song. My mom boned the lead singer of that band, which is super cool. And I had always hoped maybe that was my real father, Abigail, but it turns out it was in the 70s, and I was born in the 80s. She boned him in the 70s. And I've asked her to this day, I'm like, "Are you sure that's not my dad?" And she's like, "Reese, I slept with that guy in 1976. You were born in 84. Get over it." And I'm like, "Do you think it's possible that you slept with someone else that could be my father that's not Gene Wally?" And she's like, "Your dad is Gene Wally. Let this go. You have his nose." And I'm like, "But is it possible that you got around a lot, that you got around a lot, like a lot, like you'd been to the rodeo several times, and maybe you forgot that you went to a rodeo one time in 1984?" And she always goes, "Reese, your father and I were married. That's your father." And I'm like, "But is it possible, since you've been married 40 times, is it possible that you forgot that you slept with someone that wasn't Gene on some wild night in 1984 while he was, like, out shooting pool?" Like, maybe the lead singer of Nazareth or Journey. That would be cool. Steve Miller Band. Bob Seger? Keith Richards. And she's like, "Reese, your father, you look like him." I'm like, "Yeah, but It could be a cocktail of things. Like maybe somebody else had a big nose. Think, Diane, think. Yeah, it was a long gestation. Maybe my mom was pregnant for a long time, like donkeys or elephants. They're pregnant for like 10 years, you know? Oh, yeah. So, really cool though. So he gave me the weekend money, and then Steven Seagal could be my dad. That very well could be true. Like, I've got some moves you've never seen. I can do a Peter Pan silly slap just like Steven Seagal. Come get them, Buffy. What are we doing on this stream? I'm trying to tell stories and I don't even remember anymore. Oh yeah. So he was paying me to watch Frisco on weekends, which was cool because I had a boyfriend at the time and I was like, we can bone over here. We can bone over there. I don't care where we bone. I just got to watch the dog. So we did that and I got some extra money. Hey, Tara, look at that. Tara's a member now. Thank you so much, babe. That's very kind. It supports me. You're supporting your local YouTuber. It's local. You're supporting local. Just want you to know that. You're supporting small biz, Tara. Yeah, so I just hung out with Frisco on weekends, Kim is Blue, while he and my mom went and skedaddled all over the place and they were frolicking and canoodling as one does. And then no, Abigail, I've never seen that movie. And then we got closer and closer. And I remember one time, now I'm just stretching stories because we're only an hour and 6 minutes in. But I mean, I'm just stretching this as long as I can because I don't have another topic. But as you guys know, I was a meth head for a couple of years. And I don't know if it's from meth or just it's probably actually more from being a Barley baby. I was on the Barley formula as a Scientology baby. And I think that rots your teeth right out, just like L. Ron Hubbard's teeth. Well, thank you, Tara. That's so nice. And so my teeth rotted out of my head as a small child. Actually, I don't think it's the meth. Looking back, I think it's the barley because I had caps on all of my teeth when I was little. And I ended up getting 7 root canals on my teeth. And I don't know why I'm telling this story, but I'm just thinking about my stepdad now and I'm thinking about the old days when I met him. And this was like in the first 6 months of meeting him. And I had this one root canal. Oh, it was down here. It was so bad. And I had to go get it done. And I didn't have the money. And Doug was not my father in law yet. Doug Argis, who was a dentist, was not my father in law yet. And I didn't have the money. And I saw a regular dentist and they were like, you need a root canal, but that's really bad. And you need an endodontist to do it. Well, an endodontist they only do root canals. Endo is root canal. Wish I would have done that for a living. And they only do root canals, but they're more expensive than a regular dentist. So the root canal was going to be like 1,000 and the crown was going to be like 1,000, right? I didn't have it. And I was in a ton of pain. And I told my mom and he was new. My mom was dating him. This was like nothing. They weren't like a pair yet. I mean, they were frolicking, sure. And they were answering the bone phone, I'm sure, but like they were not like it was still new. And he was like, looked up endodontists for me. And he found this like high end endodontist on the plaza in Kansas City. The plaza in Kansas City is the most expensive area of town. It was at the time. It's like where the Gucci store is and like all of that. It's really nice. And there's super high end what's the word? Cosmetol, no, where you get fake tits. What are those called? Cosmetic. So there's an endodontist down there and he goes, I called, there's a good one there. And he's like, I want you to go there. It's all taken care of. And I was like, what? And he was like, yep, go get your tooth done. I paid for it. And I did. And hey, West Coast Fancy Nancy. And he paid for my root canal. So I go get the root canal and like, it was so bad. This particular one was so bad. The dentist had to leave it open. Like it was so infected. He like packed it with some kind of antibiotic, but it had to stay open, like the hole. He couldn't fill it yet. And then he filled it and it just kept giving me problems for like another 3 months. He had to like we put a crown on it. He had to drill through the crown. Like it was so bad. It would not deal. And My stepdad, this is the sweetest thing, I'm gonna cry. My last name at the time was Wally. That's my maiden name. I wasn't married yet, right? I wasn't anything. And my stepdad finds out that like I'm still in so much pain and he felt bad that he recommended me to this guy. It wasn't the dentist's fault, but he wasn't putting it all together. And he was like feeling guilty, like, you're in so much pain. I paid for this. Why is she still in pain? So he meets me at my apartment, like during a lunch hour. And I was going to go to my appointment. I made an appointment. I took off the afternoon from work. I'm just dragging this out, aren't I? But you're here to listen, right? We're all in good company. This is the trust tree. We're in the nest. And he shows up and he talks like this. He calls me Rice, right? Like he's hard to understand. It's so thick. And I'll never forget this. It was so cute. He shows up and I don't know him that well. Like I love him, but I don't know him that well. I wasn't nervous, but I was like, what are you doing here? And he goes, what time's your appointment? And I was like, my apartment? And he was like, when's your appointment? And I was like, what's going on with my apartment? Like, you know where I live, you're here. And he was like, your appointment. And I was like, oh, appointment. I was like, oh, this is the Midwest, dude. Original in. And I said, it's like at 2:00 or whatever it was. And he goes, well, he was like, I'm going to go with you. And I said, why are you going with me? That's weird. Why are you going with me? And you know what he said? He goes, Wally, he goes, I don't mind having that last name for the day. He was like, for today, I'm Mr. Wally. And he was like, I'm going in there. And he was like, and I'm going to have a talk with this guy about your tooth, find out what's going on, why we haven't gotten it fixed. He was like, I feel like you need some support. And I bawled. I was like, because you remember I was 19 and my dad was still fresh, like fresh from leaving me. Like I was still not over that. I was having a hard time with that. This man swooped in at the right time in my life. I will tell you. I will absolutely tell you, like it was God 100% like putting us together because he always wanted daughters. He didn't have daughters. My dad left. And he says to me, he's like, today, I'm going to cry. He goes, today, he was like, I'm going to be Mr. Wally. All right. And I was like, and he took me to my appointment. He drove me there. Like I had never had a father do anything like that in my life. Like I'd never had a dad be like, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to be your advocate and support you. And I just couldn't believe it. And so we get into this flashy, really nice office. This endodontist comes out looking like a gangster. Like this dude had the finest suits on. He wasn't wearing scrubs. This dude was like high-end office. And they come out. I checked in. Hey, Linda. And the receptionist was there. And I said, he goes, I'm her father. He was like, I'd like to speak to the doctor before she goes back. And I was like, oh my God. I'm so glad you and your dad have each other. It's baby steps. I love talking about this. I just don't talk about him a lot. I like to protect I don't talk about him just because I should talk about this stuff more. He would be proud. Thank you, baby steps. So the dentist comes out like all flashy dressed and he looks at Jim and he's like, is there a problem? And he's like, I hope not. He's like, but I'm afraid there is. And I was like, you don't have to do this. It's not the guy's fault that like I'm still in pain. And he's like, this is my daughter. He was like, as you know, I'm her father. He was like, I'm just here to find out what's going on. He was like, we paid for this. She had it done. He was like, she's taken off work. She's in agonizing pain. He was like, explain to me. He was like, I need to know. I need to be more involved here. It was so sweet. And he was like, well, we'll take good care of her. We'll see what's going on. He was like, well, he said, I want to get this done so we don't have to come back. Like he was definitely like pushing the guy, like, get your shit together, man. And it was horrific what happened. Is there anybody in the, we don't have a lot of dental people in here. We've got people, we've got nurses like crazy. We've got Kestrel and vet tech. It's called, hey, Marissa Martin, I want to say it's called a periapical, but I could be wrong, surgery. And it's when a root canal won't calm down and you don't want to pull the tooth, you have to go in to the side. You have to cut through the side and snip the roots. So instead of like going into the tooth and doing what they do with the root canal, they cut through the side of the gum and they just cut the roots. And I had to have that. And it was awful. It was so loud. It's a loud surgery and it was painful and I was so swollen. And so that's what they had to do. I hope I never have to do that again. And so he drove me home and I was in so much pain and he took me to get my antibiotics I needed. And I was absolutely hooked. Like from that moment on, I was so hooked. I was like, this is fate because he loved having a daughter and I loved having him in my life. And he did so many, he believes in, he will tell you this as a boss. This is such a cool thing. I love that we're talking about this. You guys mind that we're talking about this? This was not going to be my topic tonight, but I am lit up about it. I love talking about him. And I must have needed to because I never do. And I don't think he'd be upset if I shared this kind of stuff. He's a boss, right? Like he's invested in a lot of companies. I couldn't even tell you all of them. I have no idea. But he's a cattle rancher. He's got millions of chickens. He's got senior living communities. He's got a lot of investments in a lot of different types of businesses. And he's got a lot of employees. And I mean a whole heck of a lot of employees, right? Across the whole US. He's a big businessman. Hey, Mindy Doolin. And I've worked for him before. And he has always told me, and ever since I've ever worked for him, he always says, love you, PJ Mac. He always says, the way he does not micromanage. He's like, I hire really good people to run the shows of all the places. And he's like, I don't check in on it. I just make sure that I hire really good people that know what they're doing to then run the people down the list. Right. And he's like, I've worked for him, for companies for him. And I'm like, I try really hard not to abuse it by going to him because he's right. The owner of the company. Like I have people way in the company I work under. And he will say like, yeah, don't come to me. Like, that's what I hired your bosses for. At one point I had to, and he was really glad I did. I actually have told that story, but he has told me, and I think this is so impressive. This is so impressive. Never heard it before as a CEO, as an owner of things. He's very kind to his employees. And he always says, I believe in motivating people. I don't give raises. I never give raises. He says, I give, oh my God, I can't think of the word. It's when you're working towards something, like he motivates you. I give incentive. I incentivize people. And he goes, I give bonuses. So like if and it's monthly, he doesn't do it yearly. He gives monthly bonuses to everybody if they reach the goal. So he's like, thank you. Yeah, Stacy. So he's like, I give monthly incentives to the top dogs and I give monthly incentives to the person who sweeps the floors. He goes, I give monthly incentives to the janitors. I give monthly every single person that's ever worked for him gets a monthly incentive. So he's like, oh, he gives promotions. Oh, he promotes the shit out of people. But I always thought that was genius. He goes, I do not give raises ever. Like, I don't give raises. That's stupid because it's just like, what? So you've worked here a year. Like, I'm just going to give you more money. No, I want to increase like your limit. I want you to make more than a raise, but you have to be able to reach this goal. And they're always I know because I've worked for them. There are definitely goals that you're able to meet. Like I've worked and they're huge. Like for every single one of these, I'll give you $100. So Huxley, I'll give you an example right now. Huxley, he goes, every A you get in the 10th grade this year, I'll give you $100. Every time you get an A, every quarter, every time you get an A, you get $100. So that's how he does it. He does it with everybody. And he did that with Huxley the other day. He sat down and talked to him about it. And I came walking up when he was having the conversation. And he goes, I'll give you $100 for every A you get. And I was like, can I get in on this? What the fuck? I was like, I'm the one that pays the bills, man. I was like, how about if for every pound I lose, can I get 100? Like, I can't get an A, but I could work on eating some more carrots. Like, what if I lose a pound? $100, $50 a pound. And he did that for me. He's done incentives like he did that for his sons when they were going through high school. Get this. He told his kids, he said, if you get straight A's through high school, you can pick any car you want. You can pick any car you want when you graduate, as long as you get straight A's through the entire high school. Only one of them succeeded. And he's told Huxley that, but Huxley doesn't get the straight A's. Good for you, Abigail. I think that is so smart to motivate people that way. It's very motivating. So I'm going to share this with you. And I think I have before. I said it on the Zoom call. Back when I had first met him during the time of the root canal, he hated. He's a businessman. I bought my first car from CarMax, and I didn't have anybody to co-sign, right? I didn't have parents really. And so I was like, hey, Linda Garden Lady, I wanted to do it on my own. My first car I bought was a Dodge Stratus Coupe, and I paid 24% interest on that loan just because I wanted to do it myself. 24% interest on that fucking loan. And I was 19 and I thought I was so cool. I was so proud of myself for doing that. Shelly, happy birthday, babe. Sorry I sucked yesterday at that. So I paid 24% and I had been paying on the loan for a long time. And it is Kim is Blue, but I was stubborn because I wanted to be an adult. It meant something to me. Hey, Stella. I was saying, I hope your dad's doing good. He's finally home. I'm happy to hear that. I love you, Stella. It was, guys, you have to look at it this way. It is stubborn. Hey, Sassy, but it was really important to me at the time hey, Kat, it was very important to me. I just came out of Scientology. I just quit doing drugs. Hey, Ruth Anna, I just got my own apartment and I was feeling really right with myself. Like I had 2 jobs. I was working 2 jobs. I just felt really like an adult for the first time. And I felt like everything my dad told me I was never going to be, right? Like I felt like I was trying to prove like I can take care of myself. I don't think he does a lot of reading, Abigail. No. And so that's why I did it. It was very stubborn, but I was like, I don't care. I want to prove to myself that I can pay for my own apartment, which I did. I've got bills. I've got my car. I felt really proud of that. And looking back, I'm still very proud of that moment. I was 19. I quit doing drugs. I helped my mom get out of a bad relationship. Like I was making my own money. I was making it work. We all have felt that. Hey, Franklin, that's hilarious. And down the road, like, I don't know, I've been making payments on this car for a long time. And he and I were talking one day and he goes, do you budget your money? And I was like, what is a budget? I didn't know. And he was like, okay, we need to talk about that. And he starts talking to me. He goes, the most important thing, one of the very most important things that you'll ever want to make sure of as an adult is that you keep your credit score high. So he's like, don't go into serious debt on credit cards. He's like, pay them off every month. And he's like, keep your credit score very high. And so he's like having these talks with me and I'm like, okay. Like that was really, ever since he told me that I've had, my credit score has been like 780. Like that's been like burned into my head. I'm like, have really good credit because he said so. Hey, Janine, because he goes, if you have really good credit, you can do a lot of things with really good credit. You're very, very restricted if you don't. So we're talking and he goes, he's going down. He goes, so let me help you learn how to do a budget. So he's like, let's write down all of your bills and let's write down your income. And we're doing all this. I'm like 19 years old. We're doing all this. And I told him, I get to my car and he goes, okay. And he goes, and what are you paying on that? And I'm telling him, and he goes, and what's the interest? And I go, 24%. And he's like, what? He was like 24% interest on a car. And I was like, yeah, yeah. And he was like, it was unheard of to him. He was like, no. He was like, nope, no, I'm sorry. Like, no, that's got to go. And I was like, well, I was like, I owe $12,000 on it. And I said, but I mean, I'm doing great. I think I bought it for like 17 or 18,000. So like I was doing great. I was like, I'm paying it down, man. I owe 12, might have been 11. I think I owed $11,000 on this car. And he goes, what do you owe on it? I looked it up on CarMax and I think it was like 11, somewhere in there. And he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, I'll make a deal with you. And I was like, okay. And this was just, again, it was just like, that's what he does. He incentivizes. And he goes, I really, 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 he goes, I really want you to quit smoking. And I was like, I'm not going to quit smoking. I love smoking. I loved smoking. I smoked a pack a day of Marlboro Light menthols. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to quit. I was like, can you hand me that lighter? And he was like, I really want you to quit. It's really not good for you. And he was like, I see you using your inhaler all the time. And I said, well, yeah, I have asthma. I was like, can you hand me that inhaler after you hand me the lighter? I was like, what's the deal? God, it even feels good to do that. I loved smoking. Like it was such a stress-free. I would come home on my lunch break and smoke like 5 cigarettes in an hour. It was just, I loved it. And he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, if you quit smoking, I'll pay off your car. And I was like, what? And he goes, if I find out that you are smoking, though, he goes, if you really didn't quit or you start up again, he goes, you have to pay me the payments on that car. And he said, at 4% interest. And I was like, okay, all right. And so I quit. I quit smoking. I totally quit smoking. And so that's what I mean. He was very like, if you do this, I'll do that. And so it was really special. He was just like the perfect dad. He was such a cool dad. This guy just came along and he wasn't like throwing out the Benjamins. He got what he Taz the Bulldog. Lisa Kelson, that's hilarious. So he got something out of it. And he still says, he's like, I'm so glad that you quit. It was worth it for me to see you quit smoking. So it was just stuff like that. He always incentivizes us, like even, I say us, I can't seem to get on this bandwagon anymore. I can't seem to, I'll have to talk to him tomorrow and see if, this is my stepdad, Kat. This is my current stepdad who's got cancer and he's sick. But I just have so many memories with him. And honestly, like that to me, minus the money part, I don't care about that, but just the dad part, thank you, live the 444 dream, no question. The dad part is what I was really missing in my life. Kestrel, I think it counts as smoking. Yeah, probably. The dad part was just, it was just incredible. And so he does it with Huxley now. You know, now he's like, I'll give you $100 for every A you get. Man, I would be working my ass off. Huxley's like, meh. I would be. But I think the straight A thing is cool. If you get straight A's through high school, you can pick out any car you want. Seems like a win to me. I didn't get to know him when I was in school, though. I wish I had. And he's the same with college. Like he really, really, really pushes college. He really thinks it's important. He has offered for me to get like some college classes and things like that. I'm not ready and I don't want to do that. But like, for instance, my sister, hey, Caitlin T, he has really helped Brianna. And Brianna is now very successful and went to college because he put her through college. She got her GED with him and he wanted to make sure that she did all of those things and could support herself. And now Brianna makes really good money doing what she does at the hospital. He gives a shit. Linda Garden Lady, he gives a shit. Absolutely. But at the same time, he isn't a giver. Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Dude is not a giver. If I went to him today and said, I need money, never. He would not give it to me. He has said, when I worked for him for his company, the first thing he said to me, well, not to me, he said to the manager of the company in front of me, he said, if she does not meet the criteria, if she doesn't meet her, what she's supposed to do, he said, fire her immediately. Don't do anything different just because she's my kid. And then he looked at me and he said, and I'll never forget it. And I don't love that he said this, but he said, you will never be a member of the LS club. Remember that. He said, you'll never be a member of it. And I said, what is the LS club? And he said, the Lucky Sperm Club. You'll never be a member of that. So in a lot of ways, he makes us work more because of who we are. There is never, ever a handout in that. Like, he's never been that way. It has to be something that he's finagled and worked out. He just doesn't, you could never, I know him. You could never go to him and go, hey, I need money, dude. Like, I'm out of money. No fucking way. Like, there's just no way. He said that because I know a lot of assholes in life that are a member of that club, and it's not a club you want to belong to. Absolutely live the 444 dream. Dude's got a lot of standards. There's a lot of standards there. And what do those standards, in my opinion, turn into? Lessons. You don't get to party. You don't get to go to the party just because. Like, that's not how that works. You work for it, and you will work for it. And so I don't know. I'm glad that we did that. Like, I'm so glad that we talked about him today and going with him today. You know, it's hard because we all get older. We all watch our parents get older. And it's incredible because this man is struggling, right? Thank you, Kay Thompson. That is such a nice thing to say. Reese, I love listening to you tell us stories about your life. It feels like we are getting to know you better every day. I'm glued to this live. I love you, Kay Thompson. Thank you for saying that. What was I just going to say? Oh, so my mom just had surgery. He never complains, and he keeps everything close to the chest. So, like, I don't know how he's doing. I have to ask my mom. And I'll ask him, but he'll just say, I'm doing good. I'm doing fine. He still works all day. He's out on the farm mowing and doing all kinds of farm stuff all day long. That's all he does. Or he's on conference calls, right? And I almost cried because my mom had her surgery the day she had her surgery. My mom has her surgery. He's having his chemo, which makes him really tired and weak. And it's hard to deal with that. It's hard to look at him sometimes. I can see it in his face. I can see it in how much he's aged. I can just see it that chemo wreaks havoc on your body, right? And all he can do, the day my mom has surgery, he looks at me and he goes, I said, how's mom? You know, and he knew more than me, talked to the doctors, and he goes, she's doing fine. He's like, they said this, this, and this. And he goes, but more importantly, it's exactly what he said. He goes, but more importantly, how are you doing? That's what he said. And the reason he said that, he goes, I know that you said you had hurt yourself. Like, that was last week when I injured my neck. And so he goes, how are you doing? And I was like, this guy is going through all this cancer stuff. He's got all these scars all over him from surgeries. His cancer is not well. It's in his lungs. He's weak. He's super thin. He's tired. He's taking care of my mom now. And that's what he says. He looked right at me and he said, she's good. The doctor said this, and she's going to need to do this. And he goes, we got the physical therapy going. He goes, but more importantly, how are you doing? And I just thought, that is why I'm really glad I'll always have these memories. And that is why I'm so lucky to have this person who came and took over 3 years after my fake biological father left me, right? Standing at the top of the marble stairs, cold in the Church of Scientology when I was 16, saying, "I'm not your dad anymore. Don't call me. Don't call me dad." I go to the hospital that day. I need to have 2 surgeries. I'm 16 years old, crying and freaked out. Social services shows up and goes, "Where are your parents?" I call my dad and I said, "Dad, I'm in a hospital. I'm supposed to have surgery and I'm in a lot of pain. They need to talk to you." And he says, "I don't care. Do not call me and don't call me dad. Don't ever call me again." So for me, if there's, I mean, there's no question in my mind that there is a God and there are angels that are absolutely all around us. I believe that so much. I didn't at the time, and it hadn't even occurred to me at the time. But if that's not fitting puzzle pieces together, and I don't want to make this story any more sad, and I don't want to get too personal about this because it's not my story and it's not my place to share this. He doesn't know a lot about my biological dad, Jan. No, he doesn't really know the story. My stepdad, the man I'm talking about, had 3 sons, and one of them is no longer with us. The oldest took his life when he was 26. And that was 2 years after I met him. He took his life, and then my mother and I met him. And they were both pilots. My stepdad was in the Navy. He was a pilot for the Navy. And his son was a pilot. And they flew together. They flew the same plane often, and they would fly together, and they were very, very close. And I don't want to go into it anymore just because it's a tough story. He shared the whole story with me. And he had never shared it. He had never shared it with anyone. And I sat on a bench at the cemetery where he was buried one day with him when I was like around 19, maybe 20. And he doesn't share anything. He's a very close to the chest, very quiet man. And I just very naive and just wasn't probably very sensitive. But I said, "What happened?" And he told me, and it must have been a divine timing because he told me everything. And I was bawling. And I said, "How do you move on after a story like that? How do you lose your son like that?" And he said, "It's really hard to do." And I'll never forget what he said. He goes, "But you have to remember something, Reese." And I said, "What is it?" And he said, "The world never stops turning. The world doesn't stop turning." And I said, "But that's so hard." And he said, "It's always hard, but the world doesn't stop. You have to just keep going." And this is getting personal, but I'll share it. I was really crying through that because I was experiencing so much emotions in that moment. I still remember it like it was yesterday. And I didn't have a dad, and he had lost his son. And I'll never forget this. He's a Cancer sign, guys. Keep that in mind. He's very intuitive and he's very deep, even though he doesn't talk much. There's a lot going on there. He just doesn't share, right? And he said to me, we're sitting on this bench, and he shared that story. And he goes, "Do you know why I shared this story with you?" He said, "I haven't shared this story with anybody." And I said, "I don't." He said, "Because," he said, "I don't know what happened to you in your past." He said, "I don't know you enough yet to ask you about it." He said, "But I know that something happened there." And he said, "And I lost my son." And he said, "And I don't want to lose you." And he said, "And I can tell that something happened there." Kim, you are very welcome here, and I'm honored to have you. Thank you for coming over from Tommy's channel. And he didn't even know. He didn't even know anything about my past, but he could sense it. And he was crying. He said, "I don't want to lose you." He said, "And I don't know what happened to you." And he said, "You don't have to share it with me." He said, "I know something happened to you." And he said, "My son was very depressed." And he said, "I know that you're depressed." And he said, "I'll do anything if you need help with something." He said, "And if you ever want to open up to me, I'm here to listen." And I was hooked. At that point, I just was like, I had never met outside of Fred going forward in life. He was the next one, Fred. And I would say Tommy was the next one after that. But there are certain men who came along in my life that I just be like you guys. I would say that you guys as a community are the exact same thing. You're a safety net. And it's like hard to ignore it. It's there. It's like I know that I can lean into this. I know it's real. I know it's not going to leave me. I know it's solid and it's yeah, he's the dad you deserved. Yes. Thank you, Shelly Kelly. And Joanne Hawley. Wow. Hi, Reese. How wonderful to have made all these memories with him and to have the respect from him and the things you keep learning from him. I think he must have been so proud of you standing up for him. Hold on to those special moments always. Thank you. Joanne, that's a huge super chat. I appreciate that so much. And that is such a nice thing to say. Thank you for that, Joanne. I love you, girl. Thank you for that. Reese, the biggest thing you got from Jim was understanding what a father was, and a father didn't have anything to do with biology. Yes. Yes. Absolutely true. Very true. You're a class act. You're drawn to it in men, and now you're finding the words. That's such a nice thing to say. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And thank you, Kelly. I don't ever talk about him. I just don't. I kind of keep it off limits, and he's sick. And to be honest, it's really hard. And I know a lot of you have gone through that with parents, friends, kids, to have someone so close to you that you rely on or you look up to watch them be sick, and then you start to question. It's like, does he know my story now? Raising Yourself, the Cadet Org, whole blame the victim events and shunning. He doesn't. I've shared, and it's not because I didn't want to. I feel like my mom kind of told her side of Scientology with him. I've shared with him. I mean, he knows all about my dad. Yeah, I mean, he knows what kind of a person my dad is, and he doesn't know the stories you guys know. No, he doesn't know my dad coming to the org that day with Dan O'Connor hitting me. He doesn't know I went to the hospital. I haven't shared that stuff with him. No. And I don't know why I haven't. I think just because he knows I did drugs. I've shared that with him. I think it's because my mom is his wife. And hey, Kilo Nova. And oh, he's never watched my show, not once. My mom is his wife, and she's shared her Scientology story with him and her story as a mother and loss and her marriage to my father. And I just think that took up enough room that I didn't share mine, right? And so I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. He's helped me so much, and he is just so good to me and Hux, and he's just such a but what I was going to say is it's so hard to see. I don't mean this in a hateful way anymore. I used to mean this. I'll say it in the hateful way I used to mean it. I used to get really angry about his cancer, and I would say to myself, why is this happening to him? Why is this man suffering when he's been an absolute angel here on earth? I think there are angels here, and I think he's one of them. He's just silently in the background being amazing and kind and loving. And why does somebody like my father Why is he healthy? I used to think that. I used to feel that way. Um, I still feel like, why do people who are that good have to suffer? I've seen people working in senior living go through cancer, and it's like or Parkinson's. I mean, there's a lot of them, Alzheimer's. They're the ugliest diseases because you just watch people waste away, right? Like mentally and physically, you watch them get worse and worse, and you watch them go downhill. And it's just such a slow suffering. I don't look at it anymore as like, why, like, I don't ask God, or I don't get angry about it. I just think there are things that we are not meant to know. There's things that, like a whole other dimension of like things that we don't know, that I think will be answered for us one day. Like we will understand it one day, but it's nothing to be angry about. It's everything to be grateful for. He's still here. So instead of complaining, like, why, just be thankful that he's fighting this hard and he's still here for his family. He's still here for us, right? I mean, man, I'm almost honored that that guy is back in my chat. Do you notice the 1488? Oh, I guess mods probably got rid of it. I hate to highlight this, but remember what 1488 means? It means Heil Hitler. That's crazy. Anybody that follows that guy is absolutely crazy to me. Like, I can't believe, but they don't. And I think he's doing much worse, actually. And I think he's just slowly declining, but neither here nor there. I don't get upset about it anymore. I don't ask why anymore. I'm not angry, Kestrel. I don't think that anymore. Like, why God? Why? Why suffering? Why this? Why that? It's like saying, I hope they go to hell, or I hope something horrible happens. It's the same thing. I don't do that anymore either. I don't want to be that kind of a person. It's not meant for me to understand. And it's not meant for me to wish somebody to go to hell. That's not my job. That is not where my heart is. I don't wish that on anybody. And so I'm the same with, like, why is he sick? Why is he suffering? Why are good people sick? It's not meant for me to know that. It just isn't. I don't question it. And I don't question, like, why isn't this guy dead, or why isn't this guy going to hell? I don't question either way, right? I just don't. Baby steps, he might feel blessed for you to share with him that you trust him. He probably would. And honestly, I never thought about it until tonight that I haven't shared that story. I shared a story not that long ago with him about when my mom left when I was 6. And I went through that night, and my dad, and just how nasty my dad was. And I shared all of that with him. We were going to pick up my car. Remember when my car, I had to get a new radiator? Remember when I like hit a rock? I was so pissed. We were going to pick up my car from the Honda dealership. It was ready. It had to be towed. Thank you for your super chat, baby steps. And I shared that story when I was 6 and all of that. And we got to the Honda dealership, and we sat there in the car, and he went, "Wow, Reese, I didn't know that." And I was like, "Yeah, it's okay." And he said, "I'm so sorry all of that happened to you." He said, "I didn't know that." He's like, "I'm terribly sorry." He's such a cancer. He's so deep, and he's just, there's certain women do it all the time. This is why I love women. I love talking to women. I feel safe around women because they hear you, they validate you, they really get it, right? Like, that's why I love this community. Men do it. A lot of our guys here do it. Joel Sachs is like that, but not all the time. Martin's like that for sure. Tommy is a cancer. He's a cancer man. He's very deep like that. I mean, Tommy and I have the deepest conversations on the phone. But my dad is like that, my stepdad. And he was like, "I did not know that." He was like, "I'm so sorry." And I said, "It's quite all right. I'm glad I shared it with you." But yes, I need to probably share the rest of that story. But all I can say is this, and I feel this way about anybody who is going to die soon or is sick. We never know when we're going to die. It could happen tomorrow. But for someone who you do know, and they're sick and it's going to happen at some point, my big thing is, I always think I don't want to I want to make sure I said everything I wanted to say. I don't want to feel regret. My big thing with him, my biggest worry when I was actively living in Kansas City was I'm going to feel great regret one day that I didn't sit down with him and spend time with him. And I did. Now I have. And I feel very different about it. I'm about to spend another Thanksgiving with him. Actually, last Thanksgiving, he was in the hospital. This Thanksgiving, we'll get to be together. I'll get to have Christmas with him. Like it will be very different because I got to spend these years here, right? Like it just already, that's done. I'll never feel that way again. I'll never feel like I didn't get to spend the time I wanted to with him. I did. I absolutely did. If he died tomorrow, I would feel so much better. Like I got to be with him. I got to say everything I wanted to say. Um, yeah, Kestrel, there's always things you later wish you'd said. Not always, though. With Fred, I said everything I wanted to say, and so did he. There's no regrets. There's nothing I would change. There's nothing I didn't say. And I think he said everything, right? So that's really special to me. Hey, Liz, celebrating having Reese and all the special people who make my life worthwhile. Wow. Appreciate people while they are here, as none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. I love you, Liz. I love you right back. That is such a cool thing to say. Celebrating having Reese and all the special people who make my life worthwhile. Appreciate people while they are here, as none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. She said it all, guys. Hey, DP in Tennessee. Thank you, Shelly Kelly. She said it all right there. I love you, Liz Trix. I really, really love you. Thank you for your super chat. Original Ann, you sent me a text. Let me turn off Do Not Disturb. That would help. There you are. Oh, that's long. Do you want me to read it? I'm so glad you're getting opportunities. He needs to know everything. There's no way he could surmise it, and it's really unbelievable. It will make you even closer. That's probably true. Do you want me to read this out loud, Anne? I'll just, she says no. I was just saying, I kind of want to, you're right. The top part of the first paragraph is very important. She says, you should consider telling him your entire story so he has the full picture, right? The full picture of me as a little girl and all the abuses and all of that. Like he doesn't know anything about bull baiting, any of that. He didn't know any of that. I've never shared it. So yeah, and you make a really good point. The thing is, I don't know. I'll have to find the right time. You know, I feel a little selfish doing that at this point because he's sick. He's sick and he's tired a lot and he has to sleep a lot and he works all the time. Physically, he's constant. I'm like, I'll come over to walk the dogs. I'm like, where's Jim? And my mom's like, oh, he's out mowing. And I'm like, he's mowing. It's dark out. Like, where is he? He's in the forest mowing. Like, he's an active. My mom has said ever since I met him, he never sits down. She always says he has ants in his pants. It's true. Even sick, like he's inspiring as hell because this man has got a permanent feeding tube. He'll never be able to eat. He's had a lot of his tongue cut out, so he doesn't sound the same. He speaks differently. And like, it's hard for me to feel like I should complain about anything. He just keeps going. He just keeps going. Right? Like he goes to chemo, like he's had radiation. He went to the vet with me today and the guy was like, you still got cancer? What's going on with the Colonel Sanders thing? Like, what a jackass. It reminds me of the time when Fred and I got our marriage license and we were at the courthouse. And I shared this story a couple of times. And we're at the courthouse and Fred fills out his part of the certificate and the girl at the courthouse, he hands it to her and she goes, wow. She goes, I can't believe that you know your address and you can remember all of that. That's great. And I was like, do you have any idea who you're talking to? Do you have any idea like the respect you should be showing this man? How much he's accomplished, how smart he is, how kind he is to people, how he's never raised his voice, how kind he is to women and animals and my son, and like how gross it is for you to sum him up because he's got wrinkles and he's old. Like, so you assume that he's not of sound mind? What a sick ass thing to do. What a stupid thing to do. So to say to my dad today, like, hey, you still got cancer? You living or you dying? What's with the Colonel Sanders? And then for him to have to go, I mean, he's got scars everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. He had a trach. Like, this man has been through hell. So much pain, right? Things that will never be the same again. He'll never eat again. He'll never eat a meal again. He'll never take a drink again. He can't do anything through the mouth. It's all through a feeding tube. And for you to just sum him up and be like, what's with the facial hair? Like, what a jackass beyond words. Are you serious? Pay attention to what comes out of your mouth. And I'm talking to me too. What a stupid fucking thing to say. That's kind of my response. Going forward, when people are that blatantly dumb and they do it intentionally, that guy was dick swinging, right? Next time I think that happens, I think it'd be hilarious to just go, what a stupid thing to say. What a stupid thing to say. Like, how blatant. I mean, why not do it back? Match the energy. Instead, just call it. What a stupid thing to say. I feel bad for you. You're an embarrassment. To shame somebody like that, someone who's going through cancer, whether they're going through cancer or not. What a disrespectful thing to say to a man who deserves respect, who didn't do anything to you. It's not like my dad came in swinging, right? It's not like he came in swinging, being rude. He was kind. He brought the dogs in with me. He was super kind. What a rude thing to say. You know, I kind of wish I would have said, I got to blow my nose. Is this where's the napkin? Where's the Kleenex? Oh, here it is. Hold on, guys. Yeah, I'm with you here. I almost want to, and I would, so I'm not going to do that. But you know what I should have said to the guy? I should have said, I'm a YouTuber and I hope you don't mind. This is a good lesson for all of us humans to learn. If you don't want to be heard, if you don't want it to be made public, don't say it out loud. And that I've broken that rule. Right? Like, all of us should learn that. If you're embarrassed about me repeating it, then maybe you shouldn't have said it, jackass. And I should have said, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to tell a few thousand of my friends around the world the name of this office so they can go leave a review. You don't mind, do you? You don't mind. Call their boss. He is the boss. He owns it. Kim, they did great. They were fine. Buffy, she's doing really good. It would be sharing with you with him, not complaining. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Nancy. Yeah, I just think next time, guys, just go for the fucking jugular. Yeah, Heather, he is. Next time, yeah, Marissa, we're getting a new vet. Next time, thank you for your super chat, baby steps. I'm sorry, I'm thrown off by that. Next time, I really should just say that. We should just cut to the chase. No, it didn't hurt my dad's feelings. Absolutely not. He's way too confident in himself. And I don't mean confident like a dick swinger. I mean, he's just sure of himself. He's the most confident man. He truly is like a lion to me. He's like the king of the jungle. He's quiet. You know that it makes me think of that. What Christopher Walken said, it was like a clip. And that he talks about lions and like how everything comes nipping at him, the jackals, the other lions coming over, like he's just laying there. He's hot and he's just laying there and everything comes over and starts taking his food, eating in his domain, nipping at him, messing with him, and he doesn't do anything. And Christopher Walken says, and then one day that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody. He runs like the wind. And he goes, and sometimes it's important to show the jackals who the lion really is. That's Jim to me. He's silent, he's quiet, but he would move if he had to move. He just doesn't. He doesn't have to move, not for anybody. So no, he's solid. He's just a really solid character. My grandfather had mouth cancer and cancer of the voice box. Wow. Half his tongue and bone of gums removed. He was in pain and always had a smile. They are fighters. Yep. So that's what we're looking at. It's a whirlwind. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. They are fighters. Hold no punches, Tax. Angie Mo, I love you, girl. Thank you for the super chat, guys. And it's a story of inspiration, right? Like I say this to my mom and him all the time. I'm like, I could never go through what he goes through. I would have given up. I would have said, let it take me. I'm not doing any more treatments. I'm not doing any more surgeries. He continues to fight for my mom. He sticks around for my mom. The man is absolutely insane, crazy in love with my mom. And he has been since the day he started sending her flowers. Like, he's always been consistent. They've never broken up. They've never had a weird fight and didn't talk for 2 weeks. Like, he is who he says he is. And he's solid. And he's always taken care of my mother and me financially when he needed to for me, my mom for sure. But like, he's always been to me the idea of what a man should be, the definition of a man: solid, consistent, doesn't raise his voice, means what he says, does what he says. He was not a smoker. No, he just didn't like seeing me smoke. He thought it was really bad for. He's very health conscious. Like he said that today to me. He's like, how's your diabetes? How's the pancreatitis? And I said, I have a follow-up next week. And he was like, and they're going to do blood work. Like he's very into health. Like check up on your health. How's your health? He's very interested in health and college. Education is important to him. Taking care of your health is important to him. I would focus on making happy memories with my dad. The past is painful and cannot be changed. Leave him with peaceful thoughts always. Yeah, karma charms kittens. I get that. And I'll share it with him when the time is right. I just don't know when to put that on him. He's caring, smart, and kind. Absolutely. Scripture. Teach us to realize the brevity of life so that we may grow in wisdom. Oh, I love that. New Testament. Abigail, that's beautiful. Thank you for that scripture. That's lovely. Yeah. He is. He just, there's a lot of men out there. Fred, like just kind of nice examples of not just what a man should be, but what a person should be. Just right. Like if I'm learning anything lately, and we talk about boundaries and stuff a lot, the most important thing, love you, Iwa. The most important thing that keeps coming back to me is be sure of who you are. Who cares? People are going to come, people are going to go. People are here for seasons. Most of them are. Unfortunately, like the longevity thing is going to be like very few. But you're going to be with yourself forever. And so it's kind of to me like own your decisions. Know yourself the best. Stand on it. Be accountable for what you do. Be consistent in what you do. Do what you say you're going to do. Don't hurt people. Make your own money. Support yourself. Always have a plan, right? Like I'll never be tied up and tangled in a situation like Jeff ever again, where I was financially strapped. I was stuck. I couldn't get out. I will never do that again. Like have a good credit score. Have a plan. Have your own bank account. Be smart with your money. Take care of your health. Be kind to people. That part is free. It costs nothing, right? Like just have a clean heart by the time it's all over with. Don't lie. Don't get out of shit. Don't be right all the time. Stand on your own, Shelly. That's to me, like if he's taught me anything at this point in life, it's taken me a lot of lessons to learn. But like he's taught me at this point, like be your own person and be true to yourself. Who cares what other people think? Like I've seen him in like old shitty Buicks and I'm like, why are we driving this? He's like, I love this car. I bought it from a one owner. She was 90 when she sold it to me. And he's like, it's a great car. I'm like, but the windows don't even roll down. You have to do it like by hand. And he's like, so like, he doesn't stick swing. He doesn't need to prove himself to anybody. And he's the one that told me money talks. wealth whispers. You don't have to show people what you have. You don't have to show your cards. Why? Like, it is a major turnoff for people who are like throwing money around and like trying to show off with money, and I have all this money. Like Jeff was that way. He was such a dick swinger, and then when he was mad, he'd turn off my American Express. He'd use money to manipulate. It's not where it's at. Like, just be confident in yourself. Answer to yourself. Don't impress other people. Don't look that way. Don't look that way. Who gives a shit? It's really important at this point. Just, you remember when I said it the other day? I said it in the Zoom call. I'm going to do what's best for me. That's it. I don't care what you do. I don't care what your opinion of what you think I should do is. I don't care if you think that I'm making a mistake. And I don't mean that mean. Some of you guys in here are my true friends. I'm not saying I don't care what you think. That's not what I mean. I mean, I'm going to learn from my own mistakes. I'm going to make my own choices. Hey, Caroline in Canada, and give me that breathing room to do what makes me happy. Let me do what's best for me. I'm just going to do what's best for me. That's it. Whether you think that's best, whether you think it's wrong, whether you think I should wait a little longer, whether you think I should have Huxley do this, or you think that I should start doing that, I'm just going to do what's best for me. That's it. There's no more to it. She's dreaming. So cute. Time Arc. Hey, Deborah. Deborah, definitely prayers to you, babe. We love you, girl, and support. Time Arc says you should ask him how he got started. The story of success is something I would like to hear. I don't know everything, Time Arc. His father was a dairy farmer, and his father passed away, some kind of an accident. I'm not sure. Thank you, Rain. His father died when he was 10. And he lived in a one-bedroom house. He and his sister slept in the hallway of the bedroom. They were super, super, super poor. After his dad died, he had started working at a very young age. Obviously, being a dairy farmer, those guys get up early. They work around the clock. And they didn't have any money. And he got like 2 jobs, and he put himself through college, and he got his master's in business. And he worked for a pretty big worldwide company he was the vice president of. And then he retired younger, and he always, always, always had his farms. So he did both jobs, and he was cattle rancher, and he has chickens. And I'll give you one other little tidbit that he always says to me. Buy land, Reese. They're not making any more of it. He's always said that. Buy land. They're not making any more of it. And the price of land goes up all the time. It doesn't go down. It goes up. Thank you, Lisa Kelson. That is a really nice thing to say, babe. Yeah, original Ann. He absolutely came from nothing and built his empire. And that's one of the reasons I admire so much that he says, you won't be in the LS club, the Lucky Sperm Club. To me, I really admire that because nothing was handed to him. They were poor. They were absolutely poor. And he made his own money. He made his own wealth. He's really smart. And I don't want anything to do with it. And I won't have anything to do with it. Like, he's made that very clear what he's doing with his wealth when he's dead. Like, none of that will go to the kids. It goes into whatever he's got it all set up to do something else. And I've always said that I admire that. It was never mine to begin with. I didn't work for it. I don't expect to get anything, and I won't. And that's perfectly fair. I think that's fine and fair. We're not members of the LS club. He wants us to work on our own. He wants us to make our own money, make our own way. I think that's admirable. I think it's very admirable, to be honest. He recognizes how not having a safety net forced him to figure it out. Absolutely, original Ann. And he did. He really figured it out. He's super smart. And I feel very lucky to go to him for advice on things. I've gone to him about my health insurance plan. I've gone to him about so many things. I'm like, should I do this? Should I do that? And again, he's always like, well, run the numbers and see, I'll help you run the numbers. And he's always says, it's funny. He'll say this to me. He'll go, nice shoes, Reese. And I'll go, thanks. And he'll go, he wears the same shoes he's had for 20 years. And I'll go, why don't you get some new shoes? And he'll go, I can't afford it. He says that all the time. He'll go, I can't afford it. And I go, why? And he goes, it's not in the budget. He budgets everything. He's a businessman. He's a numbers man. That's what he says all the time. Run the numbers, run the numbers. And he'll say, I can't afford it. It's not in the budget. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Your glasses are big on your face. That sounds like something a 4-year-old would say, but thank you so much. Truly, I don't mean that like to be mean. That sounds like something a child would say. Thank you. I have like 70 pairs of glasses and I often attract larger. I like larger glasses. But I always thought that was also something interesting. He meant it. He would say, I can't afford it. It's not in the budget. Like he budgets for everything. He budgets for everything. I wish that would have rubbed off on me. It didn't. I don't know, Ty Mark. It was awfully strange, but that's okay. Thank you, Pamela. Pamela, your last name is a dog breed. Love you, Deborah. So while I do have big glasses, or they're big on my face, I don't know if you mean I have a small face and a big frame, or the frame's too big for my face, but your last name is a dog breed, and it's not capitalized. Guys, we went over 2 hours, and that's a lot. And I can really talk. I can flap my gums. So I hope you're okay with that. While you're here, please hit subscribe. It's important to me, and I want you to do it. So please go look. And thank you, Kay Thompson. Please go look and hit subscribe. I want you to do it right now. I'm going to give you a minute. We're going to have a moment of silence, right? Shelly Kelly. Thanks, Shell. Do you hear her snoring? Please go look and see if you're subscribed. Now hit subscribe and make sure you're subscribed. It's important to me. I love you, Kay Thompson. This was a really great stream. I had no intentions of talking about him at all. Thank you, Lisa. Abigail, closing, from his abundance, we have all received one gracious blessing after another. God's unfailing love and faithfulness came through Jesus Christ. He has revealed God to us. New Testament. Wow. That's beautiful. Thank you, Rue. Love you, Jamie Palmer. Abigail, thank you for that. It's very kind of you, Abigail, and thank you for super chatting it. I love you, Joanne Holly, and thank you for the big super chat tonight. Guys, thank you for always listening to me and sitting through it, being here with me. Love you, baby steps. Joanne, I mean it, girl. Thank you. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for being members. Thank you for gifting memberships. You guys are so kind to do that, and I very much appreciate it. So does Huxley. This was Sophia, this was a really great stream. I love talking more than anything about stories, especially stories that have that kind of much meaning to them. And I'm glad I know, Lisa, I'm glad I opened up and talked about him. He deserves to be talked about. He would not want to be talked about. He's just very modest. He's quiet, and he would not want to be admired that much. But I did, and I'm glad I did. And he's a man that deserves a lot of love and prayers and healing vibes, if you don't mind. Miracles happen, and that would be amazing. All right. I love that, Angel K. You should. All right, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. I will be back tomorrow afternoon. Thank you, Kim is Blue. And I really love you guys. That was a great story, and I'm glad I shared it. I will see everybody tomorrow. Mods, thank you for being here. Shelly, again, happy birthday. And here comes Fred, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.